Welcome to another episode of Sips and Sets, the podcast. I'm your host, Nina Silic, and today I'm doing something I wasn't planning on doing this week, but I really had to. I feel like I wanted to share this one. So typically, I don't share our team trainings and our team talks, which is our kind of team weekly get together Q&A session with the clients inside the Thrive 365 Academy. But it ended up being really quite interesting with one of my clients, Valerie, and it turned into more of an organic conversation rather than the typical Q&A that I would usually do. And we kind of uncovered some more deeper, meaningful things that usually maybe I wouldn't go into. So I'm not going to uncover any more than that. You guys can tune in and listen to our team talks from this past week and let me know what you guys think. And if you want to hear more of our team talks or trainings or anything behind the scenes in the academy, just let me know. But otherwise, enjoy the episode. Okay, let's do it. What day is it? I can't believe it's Wednesday. Team talks this week. Valerie, thank you for joining us. I have a couple of questions and topics that I have in mind, but you just brought something up that I thought was going to be very helpful for everyone to hear. So can you please repeat what you just said to me, like one of your kind of struggles at the moment that we've been talking about?
It's the summer, and somehow I want to eat shit. I feel like shit eating said shit, but then I continue eating shit.
I'm gonna put
Like
fun
French
stuff.
fries. What the fuck? It's a
Let,
1,000 degrees and I want to eat French fries. But it's
let's
a
say
1,000 degrees.
it is hot,
Fuck.
but I'm sure are you eating that inside or outside?
Both.
Both. Okay. Okay. Inside. Okay. Okay. So let's kind of I think you were like it's silly, but I don't think it's silly. I think it's the summer. You're on vacation right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically. Yeah. So you're in that vacation mode. So tell me about let's look at when you're in work structure compared to now. What's different? What feels different? What kind of feelings do you have towards food that are different, if any? Like let's kind of reverse engineer it a little bit. What's different now compared to when you're in a work week?
So when you're at work, you don't have time, right? Like you just don't have time. So you don't eat as badly because you don't even have the time to eat badly. And also, I mean, you don't exactly want to hunch over fixing teeth when your stomach is filled with French fries.
Right, you're a dental hygienist or a dentist? I can't remind me.
A dentist.
That dentist, she's a dentist, guys. So just so that's not a random fact thrown in there. Um, okay, yeah. So like you have more so these physical, I guess, more boundaries that are there, or obstacles that are kind of there that help, I guess, guide you to make better food choices, right? Or that are more in line with your goals during a work
Yeah.
week. Work week, kind of like the boundaries that are in there. Okay, boundaries in place. Okay. They're kind of forced on you. Okay. And then
Mm.
vacation, tell me about that.
Um, I guess like at the same time, I tell myself. So I remember writing it in my notes to you. I was scared to not have a schedule in place and be more free floating. And then I'm like, you know what? Fuck. 2 weeks out of the year, I can do whatever the hell I want. So then I keep on telling myself that every morning. I'm like, I'm still training because I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. Let's say I gained 3 pounds. Okay, I'll go right back to losing the weight again.
Yeah, so it sounds like for you during a vacation time, your I guess the things you value change. So it's like I
Yeah.
value some extra freedom. I value just to enjoy and not worry about tracking anything. I'm still moving my body and I just want that freedom and enjoyment and that's what's important to me. Does that sound about right or is it something else?
No, that's exactly it. Like I mean, I wake up at 5, I train at 6, I go to work at 8, I come home
Yeah.
at 6, I make dinner, I walk. I do it all over again.
It's like this schedule, right? Whereas it's like I'm free
Yeah.
for 2 weeks. I just want to enjoy it. Okay. Yeah, honestly, like I don't think that, you're like it's silly. I don't think it's silly. And the fact that you like I'm gonna say this to all of you. You are all grown adults. So I'm not here to tell you what to do and what not to do. I'm here to guide you, right? So at the end of the day, you are free to make any choice you want to make, as long as you're also okay with the outcome. So if you're like, okay, I'm happy with this choice because it's a short amount of time and I really just need this right now. I enjoy this. I know it's not in line with my goals, but I'm also not being detrimental to my goals. I'm kind of like staying still maybe. And if you're cool with that outcome, and like I said to you actually the other day, I believe I said you're probably roughly around your maintenance anyway.
Mm,
Um, I think that's completely fine as long as you guys give yourself that permission and peace to like make that choice, and you're allowed to make the choice. I think we all, we all come from that background of rules, right? Rules around food, and it has to be like this, and my schedule, I have to look like this all the time. Whereas now you guys are kind of learning that, hang on, I'm allowed to make my own choices and be okay with them and be kind of free flowing. And like you said, it's like, well, had a few days where I was a little bit more free about it, and then I've jumped back on to being more mindful or more not so strict, but just more mindful and things like that, right? And you're back on it. And whereas before it would be more so like a YOLO, go to town
yeah.
in the past. Whereas now you just sounds like you're choosing meals you really want to have at the moment on vacation. So there's nothing wrong with that, you guys. It sounds like right now priority for you is I want things to be pleasurable and
Mm.
enjoyable. I think that's completely fine. And it's not like you're gaining 5 pounds a week, like you're being reasonable, you're not binge eating, you're just eating more calorically dense food, essentially. So it's just you
Because
don't
at the end
feel
of yeah,
feel great after the fried food, but you're like, oh, it's okay. It's only 2 weeks. Right?
that's exactly it. But also, like, we always have to remind ourselves, like, and I always tell myself this. I'm like, it's 3,500 calories beyond your maintenance to gain a pound of fat.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, how much can that possibly be over a week? Like, you're gonna tell me you're gonna eat what? If my maintenance is 2,200 plus 3,500 plus times seven?
Yeah.
No way. I mean, I totally can. I'll I'll blow up, but
No,
that's
exactly. And then sometimes when you see like all of you kind of who are still battling the scale, I think we all battle the scale kind of forever to some extent, right? It's like sometimes those mind games, but you have to look at also what type of food you're consuming. Is it quite salty? So you're saying French fries is a favorite right now. They are so salty. You're going away more just from salt. You know what I mean? And then if you're consuming more food in terms of the amount of food, like think about how
mm,
much that weighs on its own, and it's sitting there trying to digest as well. That's inside of you. So the weight of the food itself, the extra food is going to add more to the scale. If you're not going to the bathroom as frequently, sometimes if we eat those types of foods, we don't like all that kind of stuff. So you have to kind of look at it all as a whole. And that's why I said to you, I was like, I'm not worried about where you're at. I think you're doing great. And sometimes, especially when you guys are in a fat loss phase, if you're putting pause on the fat loss for a second, that's okay to do. It just means your fat loss phase will take a little bit longer. But if it's more important to you to have a minute to enjoy yourself, then that's okay. Like I said, the outcome will be so it'll be a little bit slower. You'll press pause on the fat loss for now. But if you're like, I'm good with that because this is important to me right now, it's part of my values and it's something that I would be miserable if I didn't do this, that is okay. As long as you see it that way and you're not beating yourself up and feeling super guilty afterwards and just see it for what it is, I think that's completely fine. Yeah.
that's exactly. I remember you were teaching me something. You were telling me like to enjoy all those little things every day so that it doesn't get to the point of binging. And I have to admit, like what I've started with you April,
Yes.
and one of the things that I loved was that I would have like a really bad day. And sometimes I'll like truthfully, like I let it kind of prolong itself maybe a day or two overboard. But then at the end of the day, I mean, like I was telling you, I do CrossFit. You feel like crap, and I love performing well, and you can't when your stomach is filled with food. So
Yes.
you hop right back on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I think that's something that especially from your history and a lot of you guys in the program, we come from that history of like really restricting our foods Monday to Friday and then weekends like YOLO or whatever the scenario might be, right? There's always like some kind of like ritual around that. Or you just restrict so much that then you overeat or binge eat or, and you forget and then you just always focused on eating so little calories. And there's such a disconnect between how you want to feel every day, like we stopped paying
Mm,
attention to that at some point in time, right? Because I think especially with how we were all brought up with like the diets, everything was so in your face and supermodels and all this stuff. And now we're trying to unlearn all those things, okay? And I think it's just a matter of not being, yeah, exactly like you said, it's like not being super strict all the time, and we're trying to unlearn learn all those food rules. And when you do, you're actually starting to pay attention to how you feel more, which a lot of you I see it. I even saw like Ali the other day was like, oh, I felt like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you actually are focusing on how you feel over the numbers and the calorie counting and all the stuff, which is super important. So now, Valerie, it's like you are going to make that choice of, well, I don't want to feel like that when I train. I actually want to
mm,
feel really, really good. So that's probably going to deter you from making certain food choices, but also having like a small amount of something every day. One keeps you sane, keeps the process fun, and can prevent you from wanting to overindulge because you're still getting it every day. It's not like, oh, okay, I haven't had this for like a month. I'm going to go YOLO and then feel terrible. Or I'm not allowed myself all week. So it's like a weekly cycle or whatever the case might look like. So, yeah, I love that you're focusing on how you feel. I think that's really, really important.
yeah, because it actually gets you out of the cycle faster, and I love that feeling. I was
I
like,
rem
damn, okay. I woke up one day and I was like, we're done.
It's so funny. I think I do this to quite a few of you actually who come from that like overeating history. And I think Valerie, at first I remember I was like, listen, it's week one. We're gonna add a treat every day. You can choose the treat. And I said, I know it sounds a little woo-woo, but I promise you, just do it whether you want it or not. And what have
No,
you
right away I was like,
found?
fuck yeah, we're good.
You're like, what? Are you serious? But isn't it incredible, like the power of that and what it's done for you, like to see now?
Yeah, because I tell myself, you know what, I can have it every single day, and I'll cycle. Like I like cookies. I pretty much like everything under the sun. Um, and I'll allow myself every single day.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas before, what did that used to look like?
Oof. Before I would actually like, it was almost like a tick in my head. I was like, yes, I did the whole day without eating X, Y, and Z. And then I would get to day two and I'd start counting like an obsessive compulsive creep. Like after a week, I'd be like, woohoo, I did a week. And then after a month, I'm like, damn, I did a month. But then it starts hitting you and like the Jewish holidays come up because clearly we need to have 20 of them. And I'll have like something sweet in front of me and I'm like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, and like there's no self-control because you just can't. Like there's no mental space for that because your mental space is taken up with everything else all day, every day, trying to restrict that. You're just like, I can't. I'm done. YOLO, like
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, which is fantastic. I love that. I love that. So going back to the vacation side of things, like why do I want to eat the stuff now? It's because like that's what you value now at the end of the day. And as long as like we are obviously are monitoring your overall progress like every week, right? And your check-in. So as long as you're not going completely left field where you're then miserable and unhappy, which you're not. You're still in line with your goals right now in terms of like your stats and progress. So it's like, well, if you're doing that and it's enjoyable for you and we're kind of keeping you around in maintenance, that's awesome.
Mm.
So no, and you feel good. Like I just don't want you to feel completely terrible after those types of foods. But I think then you might want to ask yourself, if you're feeling like really crazy bloated or any kind of discomfort in that sense, the next day, you might want to say, okay, well, was it the type of food or was it the amount of food? Like they're the two questions, right? Did I just have too much to the point where I was overly full or a little bit too full? Maybe could I stop sooner? Could I mix the French fries with something else that's filling and more satisfying so I don't have as much and I don't feel as crap the next day? Like sometimes it's a case of two. I I like to call it two things. I call it I don't restrict, or you can call it give yourself what you want with some of what you need. Either way, it's the same thing. So it
which
might be okay. You
yeah,
like
which
that?
I love that you're saying that because initially when you told me that, I actually kind of felt like super self-conscious. I was like, oh, she's asking me these questions because maybe like she's trying to like get like my brain psychology thing to start thinking, oh, maybe I don't need these things. And then
No.
slowly but surely you're asking me, no, do you feel bloated? And I'm like, yes, I do. And then
Yeah,
you're like, okay, why don't we try this or this or this? I'm like, okay,
yes. Okay, let me be perfectly clear to everybody, especially those who are new to the program and maybe listen to this episode. I never want you to not eat the thing. Like that, it sounds so counterintuitive. And if you've worked with other coaches in the past, especially, they always get you to not want to eat the thing. Happened to me many, many times. No, I want you to be able to eat the food you want to eat as long as you're feeling good. And it's like, well, how do we make it work for you? Like, what's the scenario look like? Exactly like you said. No, I don't want to like make you take it out. But I want you to feel good, not walk away from that meal feeling bloated and terrible the next day. There's a reason why you're feeling bloated and terrible. And like I said, it comes down to like you either ate too much of that food, too much of food in general in that whole meal, or it's the type of food, so maybe you might need to like sub an slight alternative or something, right? Can't really sub French fries. I mean, this the French fries, they're so good. I love a good French fry, but yeah, it might be a case of like, okay, well, how much did I consume? Could I maybe have a less of a French fry portion with my meal, but kind of turn it into a meal with other stuff that's more filling that I'll feel good on. Maybe you need to increase your water that day because of the extra sodium, just to kind of help combat that a little bit. Maybe your overall fiber was low that day because of like the type of foods you're choosing. So you kind of got to get that up the rest of the day just to kind of help compensate with that, because low fiber will make you bloat, too much fiber will make you bloat also. So you kind of got to find that sweet spot. So there's just a lot of scenarios, and I hope this kind of resonates with like all this can make the scale jump up to like all of these things. So that's why I ask these questions. I ask you guys these questions because I want you guys, you Valerie, to start becoming your own detectives, right? I call it like be the detective on not just, oh, the scale went up, I'm bloated, I feel terrible, like all is failing. No, like why did that happen? Are you in fact ruining your progress? No, like you're not, for one. And then two, like, well, how do I want to feel? What tweaks can I make to help me feel that little bit better, but I can still enjoy the meal? Like, does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like you said with work, that work schedule, you just don't have a second. Like your days go, 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 bang, bang, back to back. Like you don't have time to go, what do I want to have? You have to eat your pre-planned, pre-prep thing because you're at work, you have 30 minutes to eat something or less, right? It's like that. So weekends and vacations, it's like, oh, I have some time, I have some freedom. I can sit here and think about what do I actually want that's enjoyable, that's for pleasure. Because Monday to Friday is typically like not that much for pleasure because you're on the go. So it absolutely makes sense that when you have downtime, particularly for you, like I know on weekends as well, you like to enjoy. So it's like, well, why is that? Because you don't have that much time to do that. You don't have every day to enjoy. So you get these moments and they're important to you, and that's something that's part of your priorities and that's of high value to you. So I never want to take that away from you or take that out, but it's more about how do we be more mindful that you walk away feeling good, you can train really well the next day, you don't want to beat yourself up about it, and that kind of thing. So in saying that, like reflecting on a past meal that you've had that like was French fries that you've maybe you said you woke up feeling bloated. So let's go back to like that day. What do you think you could have maybe tweaked in then that meal or that day, reflecting on that, um,
So
to help you feel
it
better?
was I liked how you said water because I actually was completely um not of the mindset thinking that drinking water would help because in my head I'm like, you're having all these carbs, you're having all this salt. Wouldn't water just weigh you down more?
No, like think about water is like aids in everything, right? Your digestion, the way your body functions, like you need it. Okay. And if you don't drink enough water, it's going to think you're not getting any water and you're more dehydrated. So it's going to hold on to more fluid too. So no, drink the water. That's not going to weigh you down. And if you weigh more, who cares? Like your body will be functioning better. And then you give yourself a couple of days and it will just flush out anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. Always think about like your core things that help with your overall health. So water intake isn't every day. I mean, water is hard. Even I've been doing this for guys for like 15 years and I still struggle with water intake some days. So it always has to be front of mind. Otherwise I forget too. So don't feel like it's just you guys know I struggle with that after 15 years. Um so that's like your one non-negotiable for your whole or overall health. I'd say water intake, number one, like get that in. Obviously, sleep as much as possible. Like our foundations, right? Foundations are there and they're important no matter what you're eating, no matter what your day looks like. Like we want to strive for those like core foundations that we need for our overall health, not just like progress for your goals. So yeah, water is a big key one for that and movement. So you've been moving, you've been training, which is fantastic. But yeah, that water next time, really like even tomorrow, because you're still on vacation, right? So tomorrow, just
Mm.
really emphasize the water intake and then also pay attention to whether that helps you with portion control, whether that helps you with choices, and see how you feel then the next day. Because that could have been, if you're not drinking enough water, your digestion will slow down also. So there's a lot of factors that comes into play. So yeah, don't change your fundamentals just because you're making different choices with your food.
Yeah. And then with the fiber, I like fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
I mean, protein for the most part, we're going to have it in the meal regardless. But fruits and vegetables, I think, are a huge thing. I mean, I have to admit, I have not been eating a lot of greens, but I'll get there.
But that's okay. So, like, I mean, I think I don't know why. Like, I used to be able to eat so many greens in a day and like fruits and veg. And now, again, that's something that I have to be intentional with, or I don't do it. I don't know why. It became harder as I got older. I don't know what it is. So I'm sitting here like when I tell you guys to do these basic things, I'm the one that's trying to implement them as well. And I still have my struggles with them too. So don't feel like it's like a no-brainer easy, but I've just had more practice and more time. So even if you say, all right, well, I would say to you visualize this way, like how do we get in more fruits and or veg? Visualize how many cups of something am I having per day. Like that's a good indicator. Or if you are tracking your food, it's like how many grams would be great. But just how many cups. So you might look at it as your whole day. You don't have to say per meal, but over your whole day, you might say, well, right now I'm getting 1 cup of veg fruit a day. And let's say you're doing 1 cup of veg, 1 cup of fruit a day and you're like, oh, I kind of want to increase that. It's not maybe not as much as I'd like. So you don't have to go YOLO. You might start with, well, this week I'm just going to add 1 more cup of vegetables a day, like either to a meal or to that same meal. Doesn't matter, just as long as you get it in. And then just keep doing that until that kind of feels easy. And
Mm,
then you might add an extra half a cup or a cup somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So you don't
hmm
have to go like 0 to 100, but we want to build that as a habit as well. And even think of ways like how do I sneak stuff in? So for example, if you're someone who likes to make smoothies every day, you can throw in a handful of spinach in there and you're not going to taste it. Like you just mix that through, or if you're making, like I get sneaky because I have to make stuff for the kids that they don't know. So like if I'm making a pasta sauce, like even just like I'm no master chef, but like if I get something from the jar, like a pre-made pasta sauce, I'll still add in there like finely grated carrots and some spinach and things like the kids won't really notice. But it's great because it's great for my husband because he's the same and for myself. So it's like, well, how do I sneak stuff into what I'm already cooking or what I'm already doing? Like, always think of it that way. It's like, how do I make the process easier for myself? And I'm already doing the thing, I'm already cooking a meal. How do I sneak in something extra? Or how do I, hide it in there and throw it in there? So that's a good way to do it too. But again, yeah, can be a tough one. But yeah, fiber. Fiber is one. If you guys aren't like looking at your fiber every day when you track your food, definitely look at your fiber intake. If you're noticing you're getting quite bloated and your fiber is low, it should be 14 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories. So roughly, everyone's different to what fiber intake they tolerate. but something to be mindful of. And if you are like, for women, typically it's anywhere from, I'd say, 20 to like 30, 35 grams of fiber a day is like the range. And it's such a big range because we're all different. Like some people do well on high fiber, some people really don't. Like you might find you're bloated on lower fiber and higher fiber, and you need to find that kind of sweet spot. So that is something to definitely pay attention to. Particularly Valerie, if it's like on a day where you've eaten a ton of food, or not a ton, but like more food than usual, or like your maintenance, and um especially even like French fries, potato is going to have a lot of fiber. So, you might want to even look at that and go, wow, is my fiber really high? Like, for example, I don't know, 50 grams too. That's going to cause you to bloat way more and all the things as well. So it's difficult because there's so many variables that can cause you to feel that way, but it's always great to kind of have certain things front of mind. Am I kind of keeping certain things constant? And kind of, it's nice to kind of go, all right, well, what maybe caused my weight to jump or make me feel bloated or make me feel like this? And okay, low water intake. Okay, low fiber or super high fiber. Okay, just foods I'm not used to, salt. Then you can kind of take a step back and go, okay, well, just because I'm feeling, let's say, call it fluffier or heavier on the scale, doesn't mean I've gained body fat. Like you said, you'd have to eat a pretty astronomical amount of food in a week to actually gain fat. So it's just all these things are great to be aware of. And then you can kind of look at it objectively and be your own detective down the track, right? And not freak out over why the scale's gone up or why you don't feel so good. That was actually uh a point I wanted to make today. I had a note on when you guys say I'm feeling fat, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I never say fat, like ever, to any of you or in my content, like anything, because I just don't think it's helpful. We have body fat, we're not fat, right? And then a lot of you might say to me some weeks, oh, Nina, I feel fat or I felt fat this day. But something I wanted to kind of point out is that fat is not a feeling. I think this ties really well into this conversation because this typically happens when you guys have had a day where you've overeaten or had like meals that you're not used to. You're just feeling bloated typically, right? But it's like, I feel fat today. I felt fat that day. I hear it a lot. Fat is not a feeling. So if you're like, I feel fat today, right? We never want to say that, but I feel it. Well, it's not a feeling. So what do you actually feel? So, oh, I feel bloated. Okay, why? Like always ask the why. What happened? And you guys will notice I ask you guys is tell me more about that thing. What happened? Why do you think that happened? It's more to kind of have you guys see that, oh, okay, like there are actions I took that made me feel this way. It's not just you just randomly feeling that way. Does that make sense? Valerie,
Oh, completely.
yeah.
I like the term fluffy. I've heard of that
Yeah.
from a few people, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I
Yeah,
feel like a
fluffy,
little
especially
fluffster.
when you get your period, we'll feel fluffy. But
Oh,
it's pretty much just extra fluid retained and bloated and all the stuff. Like you can pinpoint and name the stuff, right? You go, okay, I actually feel bloated. I feel like I'm retaining fluid. What else? Like that's pretty much really it. Like I feel sluggish, maybe, low energy. I feel like you can actually name the things you feel, but feeling fat is not one of them. Like it's not a thing. Does that make sense? Like it's really not. And body,
100%.
yeah. And then something like to our bodies like think about us as women, okay? Our bodies fluctuate month to month with our cycle, with our period. Like they change every month. I don't know if you've seen yourself the few days before your period comes. If you took a
Hmm.
photo, it looks very different to a few days after it's finished. Like you look like two different people almost, right? So I think it's important to note that our bodies change and that they're going to change, not just month to month, but like in different times of our lives and from different foods we eat and things like that. So we're going to go through times where our body fat goes up and down. Um, and that's normal. I think that's really normal. And it also depends on your goals. Obviously, if you're in a fat loss phase, the goal is to lose fat, right? But we can't be in a deficit forever. So you have to look at it as, okay, well, your primary goal will change. And that is necessary because we can't be in fat loss phase forever. We need to recover from the fat loss phase. That might mean gaining a little bit of body fat back. But then you primarily want to keep it down, but like get stronger and change the emphasis and heal your metabolism, all those things. Well, not heal them, reverse the adaptations from the deficit. People call it heal your metabolism, similar thing.
That is a
Um,
misnomer, right?
yeah, you can't like you're not fixing your metabolism. Your metabolism is doing what it's programmed to do. So should you want me to go into that? Is that helpful if I go into what that happens? So
Can
okay,
I
when
ask you
you're
a really dumb question?
no, nothing's a dumb question. You can ask anything.
Oh,
You
just
take the
sweet.
floor because like
So,
you're the one showing up. So I'll go to your questions first and I'll if I've got time for my points, I'll add them in. But yeah, floor is yours. Go for it.
so my girlfriend is super skinny, like super skinny. And I've noticed like when we indulge in like these crazy dinners together, like she'll just be like a heat source. Like she's just exuding heat.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think back to my biology days, right?
Yeah.
And metabolisms, there's like what, eight of them, nine of them?
Now you
So
tested my memory too. I don't remember.
so if I'm not mistaken, I mean the our actual exercise thermogenesis makes up a very small amount of our metabolism. But the one that really matters is the brown fat, is the amount of energy it takes to increase our body temperature by 1 degree Celsius. And if I'm not mistaken, people that exude that level of heat is just because they're like an internal combustion engine. So like this
Um,
idea that some people have faster metabolisms versus others, like this kid just like everything is just exuded by heat and I'm like, fuck, I'm so jealous.
yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact answer to that. I can get back to you exactly on that just because my memory is not serving me right now. However, yeah, so I'm the same. So even last night, so I had I'm not naturally a skinny person by any means, but I do tolerate carbs pretty well over the years of rebuilding my adaptations, right? So like last night I had a really carby dinner and a really indulgent dessert. And I'm laying in bed with my husband and I are watching a movie, and I was like, I am so hot. Is it hot in here? Like I'm sweating. Like what is going on? But I was like, oh, I ate a ton of carbs, so that's probably why. So yeah, it's like sometimes it's like also that thermic effect of food too. And obviously, like there's so much tied into metabolism. It's like your hormonal responses, your blood flow, your digestion, like again, like you said, the digestive process is thermogenesis. So it's like a ton of stuff happening as we digest the food in our bodies, a ton of processes happening as we're getting that energy, right? So yeah, some people can process that really, really quickly and their body puts it to burns through that energy quicker than others. And that typically comes from also where your adaptations are. So for example, if you're someone who's been spending a long time of your life I'll call it dieting, right? Trying to restrict calories, being a deficit. You are going, your body wants to conserve energy, so you're not going to feel that. If you're someone who, because your metabolism, basically your metabolism is like your bodily processes, right? So when we are in a deficit, our body adapts to the lower calories. Your body wants to be in that medium happy ground, homeostasis,
Mm,
it's called. Okay. So when we reduce calories, I'm going to come here to reduce let's say this is the calorie intake metabolism essentially. Oh no, I want to conserve energy so that I don't need as much food, so that like this is my maintenance. I want to be at maintenance, and we take calories away, so forth, right? That's how we hit plateaus in fat loss. So if you're always been down here and you keep taking stuff away, your body adapts to functioning on very little calories. That's where like someone who's thinner probably is you probably might I don't know if you pay attention to her. Maybe she fidgets a lot. Maybe she's always moving. Maybe she's always like go, go, go. Like obviously genetics plays somewhat of a part in that as well. But when we add food back and we like reverse those adaptations and push those calories back up, that's what we do in a reverse diet. Um, you'll find like that will change. So like for me personally, I used to be on that spectrum where I was cold all the time. Didn't feel hot ever.
mm.
Because my body had adapted so much to conserve energy because I just ate very little food for a very long time years ago. Now I think I've done a fat loss in, I don't know, like 4 years or something. And I just can eat a ton of food and I get hot fidgeting all the time and always like you'll notice like I'm moving while I'm talking, like all this stuff is creating like energy coming out of me, right? So like a body burning energy because I've got the energy. So yeah, I don't know if you notice, I don't know if you want to pay attention to her. Like I get hot a lot too after I eat meals and my husband's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, no, it's just hot. So yeah, absolutely. It's just the way our body kind of is processing everything. But I think last a few weeks ago you were asking me about like set point and stuff and can you change that? Like, yes, you can. I've done it plenty of times. But yeah, you can actually become that person that will be like her. Like, yeah, but you've spent so long like restricting, binging, and in that cycle that your body's like, I don't know what's happening next. Like, I need to conserve this energy. I don't know if I'm getting food or not. So we don't
Mm.
probably feel as hot as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. I don't have like an exact answer biology session for you at this point in time. But yeah, interesting. I can get back to you on that as well. But does that make sense too? Like,
No, 100%, and
is she a
especially
high end?
because like the fidgeting increases. I mean, you're working, you're expending energy, and that, if I'm not mistaken, that amounts to the highest portion of the metabolism grid, if I'm not mistaken. Like you're, I forgot what it's called, but it's essentially like you're fidgeting, like
Yeah,
the fidgeting portion.
you're neat. It's like you're
You're neat. There you
non-exercise.
go.
Yeah, so
Non-exercise.
activity thermogenesis. So basically
There you
all
go.
the energy you're expending outside of exercise, which is like the rest of the day. Let's say if you work out for an hour, it's like the rest of the day. Like if I was in a deficit right now and I'd been like, you guys might notice this if you are in a deficit, I might be sitting here like this, like maybe not moving, maybe my energy shifted. Whereas I'm not. So I'm like, I've got food in me. I feel good. Like I can move around. So you might notice that. Is she someone that's like go, go, go or like fidgety or moves around a lot or not so much?
100%. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's just like, which,
I think I found a new goal for our next 3 months.
what is,
Get to that. That would
yeah,
be
well,
awesome.
but that's where it comes with the reverse diet. So that it's called the diet after the diet, I call it like the recovery phase. If you guys don't implement that recovery phase properly after the fat loss, that's where you can one gain the weight back very rapidly and two like miss out on that opportunity to kind of get to that point slowly. Like you want to get to that point. And so if you've never done a reverse diet, the first one is typically we really push your calories up as high as we'll go. Like we want to push that threshold and then do another fat loss after if you kind of want some body fat changes to happen. And then the following reverse diet is kind of where the magic happens because it's kind of where we get you to where I feel good on this amount of food. I also feel good physically, like I'm good to maintain here. It's kind of like creating your new maintenance, if that makes sense. So I typically see that in two cycles if you're coming from somewhere that's been like this restriction kind of history. Like it does take a couple of cycles. Not everyone, some people like will get it like the first time. I even had one lady I remember I coached with her probably like 4 years ago now. She's amazing. She was in her 40s and we did a fat loss and then we did her reverse diet and she just kept losing and getting leaner and leaner and leaner. I'm like, well, you're good to go after this. Like you don't need to go to another fat loss. Like you look like amazing. So it does happen. Can I force that to happen? I can't force what's going to happen to somebody. Some people do respond that way though, which is great.
That's interesting, but that's probably because their activity went through the roof.
Yeah, so as you have more food, your activity, exactly. And what's interesting enough is that it's happened with some clients, also happened with me. My first reverse diet, I gained a ton of body fat, but because my body was such a mess initially. But then the second and the third, I remember the second I just kept losing. I couldn't add more food fast enough. It was crazy. So it can actually change with the person depending on the phase you're at as well. So it's not like your first reverse, like one reverse is going to be the same as the next. Like it's so interesting to see how your body changes from one phase to the next, like the next year, like if you keep doing the work, for example. So that's interesting just as a case study for myself, my own experience, but also with other clients too. um yeah, it's crazy. Again, can't force whether I can't control whether you're going to keep losing body fat, but for some people yes, because they start to expend more energy than we can keep up with adding the food, which is obviously like the dream scenario. They keep adding more food, want to eat more and like be leaner. But yeah, so it is possible absolutely for that to happen too. So yes, can happen to you, Valerie. It's possible.
I got to get better at rollerblading.
Oh man, like yeah, how fun. Is that really fun actually? I How are you enjoying that right now? I know you said it's hard, but
It is so hard. So my problem is that I was never, and I was talking to my parents about it just this last weekend, and they're just like, "You're an idiot." Like, what do you mean I'm an idiot? They're like, "If you fall, you're gonna break a bone." I'm like, "Dude, I'm 36. I'm not 90."
yeah, exactly.
Uh, Um, but and I was getting mad at them because I'm like, "Fuck, why didn't you push me when I was younger to do more sports?" They're like, "Sweetie, you never wanted to move." And it's so totally true. I was so lazy as a kid. I wasn't
Interesting.
active. Like I was that kid that would spend like 6 hours in front of the television screen. So like in my 30s is when I really finally forced myself to become active.
But how
And
amazing that you get to change the pave the way, like a new way for
totally
yourself.
100%, which is what I love. It's just I don't love the rollerblading because I suck, but I'm getting better.
With practice, like and what I think I love and I want to highlight with that because we're kind of just going with the flow today, which I love. Um, I think having an activity that is really fun or even
Mm,
just learning something new as part of your health and fitness journey, I think is so important. I think it just adds to the fun. So that I would say to you, when you go back to work, if you can incorporate rollerblading in your week, like obviously if you want to and you enjoy it, I think that would be a fantastic thing to incorporate because I think having something really fun, like you love CrossFit, right? So it's like, yeah, that's exciting for you. Keep it in. Is it helping your goals?
be-
Absolutely. Like, and if
mm.
rollerblading is just fun and it's movement, like why not? Um, I think that's awesome. Like for
Also,
me,
you said something yesterday to me that was so totally true, and I remember my eldest sister telling me this like a while ago, like maybe 10 years ago. You told me, let's find something that calms you down. Basically, I was understanding you're just like, you're clearly not a calm person. So let's try to incorporate calmer things into your life. And I'm like, I was just remembering my sister told me that too. And I was just like, but I do CrossFit. And she's like, but that's not calm. And it's so totally not. I love it.
it's
It's
great.
it's it's great, but it's not calm. Like I freak out before I go. Like
No,
I
it's
have
like
like
do the EMOM or do the what in this as fast as you can. So it's like go, go, go
no, no,
for the
it's just
least
go, go,
calm thing.
go.
No, but I think it's funny. It was actually coming from a place of I resonated with you a lot on that because I naturally am a go, go, go person. And over the years I've had to learn to incorporate activities that do calm my mind, do calm my body to
Hmm.
balance it out. So like especially I've seen it in many other clients in your check-in forms. Obviously the question is like, what do you do to alleviate stress? And many of you put workout and I'm like, that's great. And yes, that is a stress relief, but also working out is placing stress on your body at the same time. So it might be like a mental stress relief, but physically it's also placing stress on your body. It's the good stress. We want that stress because it's challenge like putting stress in our muscles that then repair and recover and grow, right? So it's not a bad thing. However, when we've got extra stresses in our lives and we're always go, 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 our body, our central nervous system needs that like rest and digest mode. Okay. So breathing or yoga, like the yin yoga is fantastic. Meditation's hit or miss with people. I find it challenging sometimes and I'll dabble back in it sometimes. Um, but yeah, like even just like you said, reading a book. I to the point where I'm too go, go, go. I can't sit and read a book. Like I fidget, like I
I
struggle.
could see the fidgeting.
So like it was coming from a place of just you need to balance out the stress relief activities to be some workout or go intense stuff that just helps you get like that energy out.
Hmm.
Like, when you're stressed, you just want to go. I used to do martial arts and punching stuff was great. I used to love like getting that out of me. But then to balance it with an activity somewhere in the week that is restorative. So, like, even if it's just breath work or, like you said, reading a book or yin yoga is wonderful. It's a lot of stretching and breathing. Yeah, where you can just relax your body. So I think that's important to
Hmm.
have that combination of both. Again, I wasn't recommending it to you because I'm like, you need to just stop. I'm like, no, I know what that's like, and we need to balance things out. And have you tried that since we spoke about it, like doing something restorative, just out of curiosity?
So I actually bought from Amazon, the scratch art? Ever seen that? That stuff
Yes.
is amazing.
Or like the coloring books and stuff, like all of those.
Yeah, I really
Yes.
I enjoyed that a lot because it's like it's still like it I mean I'm super like coordinated with my hands. So it's just
Yes.
it's nice to be able to do that and like not be stressed while doing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say your job is that, but like it's nice to probably not have to do a specific thing and just go
Yeah.
freely. Yeah, very
So
cool.
that's actually a lot of fun.
That's really cool. That's
Um
a great idea,
mm.
actually, something I didn't even think of. That's fantastic. Oh, so how did that make you feel as opposed to doing something like intense, like usual?
No, yeah. So it's nice because even like I'll do I used to do also CrossFit after, well, not also. I would either CrossFit in the morning or I would CrossFit after work. And after work I would use it as like my excuse to not eat food because I'm obviously working out, so you have
Yeah.
no time to eat.
Yep.
And I would like that, but then sometimes like I would go to bed and I'm wired. Like I'm wired.
Yeah.
So it would take me like a good hour to fall asleep versus this. I kind of just like I chilled. I was like, oh, okay, this is the shit. This is
Yes.
how life should be.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. You know what has forced me to slow down having kids,
Mm,
surprisingly enough, because like I still have to spend, I spend time with them in the day every day at some point. And we do stuff like coloring and I'm like, "Oh, I'm coloring. This is nice."
it
Oh,
is,
it's
huh?
nice to just sit and color like and not worry, but this is all we're doing right now is coloring or um I don't know. Like they sometimes just go in the front and like want to look at rocks. Like it's simple as that. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're looking at rocks. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just they have been a big lesson, a positive lesson in my life to help me slow down and be more present. But, if we don't have that in our lives, or sometimes, even moms who are in this program are go, go, go as well. It's like we need to find things that help us slow down
Mm,
to alleviate stress. And not just that, but I think that's why even with sometimes with your meals, we've done this, right? Where we've like sat down for a meal and we take a note of how you feel before the meal, during and after, things like that. I think it's just slowing down even with our meals and the actions in the day, whether it's around
mm,
your health and fitness or not, just helps you become a little bit more present. And again, creating awareness. We're slowing down to create, not just alleviate stress, but to create awareness around the actions we're taking. And like you said, oh, I realize I can fall asleep better if I do this, or and if you never tried that thing and slowed down, you would never have noticed. So it's just like nice to slow down to give yourself perspective on something as well and create awareness around the situation, or you might notice things you never noticed before. So, yeah, slowing down not just for stress relief, but I think to build awareness that maybe in
yeah.
places we typically wouldn't have is a really, really useful tool, I think.
Mm.
That's
And
been
also
powerful
putting
for
away
you.
your phone.
Oh, the phone. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
What have you done?
You
Have you
don't
changed?
realize the disaster that phones have done in our lives.
Yeah,
Like I'm addicted to my phone, but not even because of like I'm searching anything. It's like TikTok. That has blown my life out of water,
TikTok's dangerous. The scroll,
right?
scroll can turn into, I'm just gonna look at TikTok for 5 minutes, an hour later. Like
No, 2 hours later. Oh my God. Oh my God.
terrible. But again, if you like slow down or if you like create boundaries around, all right, I'm gonna set my alarm for 10 minutes. And once that alarm goes off, TikTok is done. Or by this time I'm putting my phone away like at 9:30 or whatever time. Like, doesn't that make such a huge difference when you
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%
realize
because your life will just pass you by and you don't even realize it.
gosh, the amount of like it sucks because like I'm grateful for social media because it's allowed me to like create the life I want and be able to do this full time, which is like the best freaking job ever. I think like I get to help people every day. But at the same time, so that's like a blessing in that sense, but at the same time, oh man, I can just get stuck in it. and be like, I'm on here for work. But am I really on here for work? What are you doing? Like you just scroll for 20 minutes. Like get off it. So yeah, I have to be mindful of that too, because it can take over. And then it's like, well,
Yeah,
I could have done something better in that time, but
right?
I didn't need that. But I'm curious to know, and you can share this on here if you like, or not, or if we can share it privately later if you want to. I actually haven't asked you this; it just came popped up, and I've noticed this with other women in the program. Like changing your, I guess, habits around not just food, habits in the day, more awareness with your actions, yourself, how you want to feel all these things. How's that changed your relationships around you? I've noticed with other women, it's definitely changed a lot of their like friendships, personal relationships, spouse relationships. I'm curious, like if that's kind
You
of
mean my relationship with food, how that's changed my relationship with people?
yeah, I'm curious with that because I know that's something that initially we kind of touched on, like when we very first spoke.
Um, I guess it's mainly so it's in two parts, right? I mean, on the one hand, I mean, when family members see your weight loss and obviously they start questioning you and asking you how like what are you doing and X, Y, and Z. And I feel like I'm always very reserved when it comes to things like that because I'm just uh, not the evil eye, but more just the idea that I just don't want I don't want to deal with the bullshit of people judging me because that's just exhausting.
Yeah.
But also I come from a family of physicians and I don't know what it is. They are so good at their jobs, but when it comes to nutrition, holy fucking hell.
I'm glad
Oh
someone
my
else
God.
said it. I'm glad someone else
Why,
said
yeah, 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 yeah. They are so stupid. Like it's painful. It's
it.
annoying.
Yes.
And like my dad, he's an osteoporotic specialist, right?
Wow.
And he complains about me doing CrossFit every day. And he's like, you're going to kill your bone structure. You're going to do this. You're going to kill the lordosis of your back. I'm like, but fuck sakes. I'm like, but I love it. He's like, just do cardio. I'm like, what? What? And
But
I get so angry and I'm like, okay.
but
The man is like 76,
your
right?
bone density in like 20 years time is going to be incredible, and like your strength and
I know.
your
I know.
muscle, like that's what we're looking at now. Is like literally right now, like you and I, we're like the same age, right? So it's like
Yeah.
we're already past the prime of how much muscle we can pack on. Like our goal needs to be
Yeah.
to keep it on and put more on because we're going to keep losing it more and more and more as we age. And that's what's going to help us like prevent you from falls. Like imagine like falling in 20 years time and you still doing
Yeah.
CrossFit or something similar. And you're like, I'm good because I'm strong. I can literally do box jump burpees and so I can fall and be fine.
Right?
Like, like, isn't that incredible? Like, I don't know if you've seen, oh, was it on the Olympics or something else? There's this little, I'm gonna find it and post it in the group. There's this 90, I'm pretty sure it's the Olympics. There's this 90-year-old woman
Oh, yes, totally. She was sick. I
in the
saw her too.
Olympics.
Yeah.
She's like broken all these records. It's like she's 90 and like that's
Right?
incredible. So no, keep doing your
I
CrossFit.
saw it too. I saw it too.
Like as long as you're taking care of your body and getting checked for all those things as we age, like I think you'll be just
No, 100%. And the most important thing I've learned, and I'm sure it's the same thing with bodybuilding as well, is leave your ego at the door. Like it's taken me years to understand this because I'm competitive within myself. Like I need to make sure I'm better every day.
yeah.
And like they tell you like you can't pick up this weight. I'm like, fuck you. Of course I can pick up this weight. And
Yeah.
like I will not check my ego at the door and I forget to. And then I injure myself and I'm like, okay, let's leave my ego at the door and let's just lifting weights like and like my mother unfortunately she was diagnosed with Parkinson's and it's been so hard to watch her age and to watch her with all of that. And my sisters and I, we look at each other and we're just like, holy fuck, we cannot become like this. Like, I don't have kids. Yes, I come from a big family. Thank God I have people to help me, but I would never want to be in that position. And I'm so scared to be in that position that that's what drives me 4 or 5 times a week. I get my ass out of bed. I train.
Yeah, 1,000%. And you know what's I'm paying for it now, like the years of yes, I've been weight training for many years, but I spent too long in like a deficit and putting too much stress, like overtraining.
Mm,
When I was in my 20s, like when I was competing. So that along with childbirth, which apparently was very stressful on my body, that's why I'm dealing with like my neck and spine stuff. And I'm just like, I can't believe that that time of my life contributed to this now. Like it's crazy. So I wish I knew better sooner, but now I can at least like keep going and fix it. And the one thing that they're saying, keep weight training is what they're saying. Keep resistance training. Obviously,
yeah.
right now I'm modifying, can't load my spine, but they're like, that's what's going to help you in the long run, obviously. So you have to keep doing that and walking and everything we can do. And as your treatment progresses, like you can do more and more. Obviously, right now is an intense period of treatment. So it's just like weight training and just not overtraining and really learning how to like take care of our bodies with nutrition and training as well. Oh man, I wish I knew that years ago before when I thought I was invincible. So absolutely, like it's should be part of overall health. It's interesting. I follow some physicians online that are very educated in like nutrition and health and wellness space as well. And they're just saying, I wish I could prescribe everyone with resistance training. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
essentially, like what's his
You're referring to what's his name? The big
Doctor
guy from New York.
yeah, like what's his I know
What is his
the
name? The good-looking boy. The
Nadowski, no,
yeah, there we
what's
go.
his name?
So but yeah, he was like
He's amazing.
yeah, 100% because I mean blood pressure medication pales in comparison.
Like,
Uh
and do you know what I've noticed too? Because I've come from living in a different country in Australia for my whole life and now living in the US.
and
Unfortunately,
Australians
my
are very
experience,
active.
yeah, very active. We love to get out, not just that, but excuse me. I don't listen, I can't speak for everybody because I've just had my experience here in the US. Like I know you're in Canada, but at the same time here, I've been so it's doctors are so quick to push a pill on you or something
Yeah.
else, like a band-aid of some sort before addressing your lifestyle and whether you're active or anything. It's just lose weight. Okay, well, you can't say that to me. Like I'm not overweight, so what am I gonna do? Like, if I've still got issues to work on or whatever. Anyway, just take this pill and do this thing. And it's like, no, like there's so much more to it that could
Yeah.
that could be. Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? Anyway, we're totally digressing. But no, like we went back to relationships. So yeah, like I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, and unfortunately, I think it's just that generation. Like my mom, even though she lives on the other side of the world, if I FaceTime her, will comment on my body over FaceTime every single time, without a doubt, whether it's good, bad, ugly, in between. Um, so that I don't like that attention either, but deflecting that is always good. And just saying, I feel great,
You
see you later.
you have no choice.
Yeah, but aside from that, yeah, I was curious whether you feel like more confident, like in your relationships or anything. Like I was curious to see if it's changed anything like that.
So I mean like you feel better with your physical with your closest partner, right? Like obviously I remember at one point, this is going to sound so bad, but I was scared to like undress in front of my partner because I
Hmm.
put on so much weight.
Yeah.
And when we had met, I was at my skinniest, and then COVID just took a disaster on me. Um, and then I don't feel like that anymore. And it feels so good to like not feel ashamed of your body.
That's a big deal. That's a
Yeah.
lot. It's interesting. I had a call with a lady the other day, actually. She's not in the program, and she was saying to me how she's struggling to get intimate or undress, and they're about to get married. And I'm like,
Boy, that's
man,
hard.
like it's so hard. And just, you can get out of that place. But I think it comes from too just when you start, for me anyway, when you start feeling confident in your food choices or just your choices you're making, you're feeling confident with them and your body starts changing in ways that you feel great. I think the feeling great part is huge, right? You have to feel good whether you're super lean or not. Like you still have to feel good. Um, that all I think trickles on to everything else. Like I remember years ago, like the same weight I am now. If I was this weight 10 years ago, I would have never ever like put a swimsuit on, got undressed, like nothing. I would have hated it. Whereas right now I'm like, okay, I'm not the leanest I've ever been. Going I can't train as well, but I still feel freaking great and I'll still like feel confident, you know. So I think it's a lot of, because like I think a lot of it just comes with having awareness around my body's going through this right now and this is why, and I understand like how I want to feel, and like you get to a point where you're like, if I gain 5 pounds it's just body fat, it can come off, and I now have the skills to get it off easy if I want. Like that's kind of over the years where I've become, and I've seen other clients get to that point too. It's like, well, yeah, I can make the changes now, no problem. I have that control and I have that awareness and understanding and the skills now, and I think that honestly plays such a huge
Oh yeah, but I was
role.
telling you that also as like I'm losing weight, like as my weekends kind of like sometimes I'll go like a little astray on like a meal or two, and then I'm like, dude, I could just get right back on track. We're good. Versus I would go into like a
Exactly.
frenzy for like a week.
Yeah. Like, what a huge difference. You're like, I have control of my life now. Like, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or what I also love was I bought, what was it? I bought like 12 pairs of jeans when I got to like my lowest weight like 5 years ago.
Oh my
And I
God.
was getting so pissed because I was like, fuck, I can't fit into it. Like I literally could not button them. And I'm starting to fit into them again. And I'm like, oh, I felt so good.
Yes.
And
Well,
even
12
more
pairs of
so,
jeans is an investment.
right?
So,
I know I bought so many jeans at one point and I was like, oh shit, what the hell? I don't fit into any of them. And I was just getting so depressed. Like I would try one on, I'm like, nope, let's do the next one. And then I'm like, nope, doesn't go in either. But what's also really interesting, I found, I don't know if other women also can resonate with this, because I've done this cycle a few times, right? The gaining and the losing, and I have noticed that where I am right now in my weight, I don't look the same as I did the last time.
yep.
I th- I'm assuming it's because I have more muscle mass. And that's also really interesting because I'm like, ooh, okay. I have like I could fit into certain things better, or like with CrossFit, your upper body kind of your I mean, with all those overhead movements that you do,
Yeah.
like I'm a sumo wrestler in my upper body right now.
No, you just get very
Um,
strong in your upper body. I did CrossFit like before I left
I
Australia for
remember
yeah, it was great. No, it's great. You do grow the traps though. I did notice I did grow some traps, but I'm very
my
trap
traps are
dominant,
huge.
so
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's okay. Like, have you seen the Olympics women lately? They're freaking amazing. So
yeah. They
that's
look so good.
athletic, like so good. So yeah, anyway, continue.
But yeah, no, like I just found it interesting. Like I'm at the same weight where I was. Um, okay, so I was 200 pounds back in 2018.
Yeah.
That was a low point. Holy crap. I was at 199.8.
Okay.
Let's specify. That was huge. The point 2 pounds gave me a little bit of an edge. And then I lost all the way till 148, 150.
Okay. Yeah.
COVID hits. I start trickling up in the 50s, the 60s, and then I lost. And then I came back to the 70s, and then I lost. And then I went back to the 50s, and then I gained back to the 70s. And they finally, when I called you, I was 180.
Mhm. Yeah, we're almost
And
at 20 pounds. We're like almost
yeah,
there.
and
Which,
now I'm almost at that 160. And I
yeah.
noticed my body's completely different from that first time when I had initially lost from the almost 200 down to the 160.
Yes. And that's why it's important to have those phases of, all right, we do fat loss phases, we have recovery phases, we have phases at maintenance where we're focusing on building muscle, getting stronger, because your body composition will change over time. And over time, you will probably notice I'm assuming you notice now that your body looks better now at this weight that maybe it did at the 145 mark or whatever it was. Like you might notice you're looking better than you were at a lighter weight before, if that makes sense. I don't know if you
Mm.
do, but that would indicate like definitely more muscle. Like for me, um, I'm noticing over the last like year and a half that I can weigh more and look better than I used to.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I
It almost
mean?
feels like a hack.
Yeah, which is great. Like life hack,
Like,
right?
ooh.
Like aging
Yeah.
hack too. Yeah, like I used to have to feel really lean, I'd have to be at like 130, whereas now I could probably look pretty, my abs will probably be popping around 130. I don't know. Anywhere from 135 to 138 will be look pretty lean. So if that's a hack, that's a win. You want that. Like, and that's where it's interesting because over time, and that's where some of you like women with the reverse diet weight, the scale weight will go up. But over time, it's not all body fat, like if you are training for it intentionally and obviously you're fueling your body correctly, like lean mass is there, and that's where your body composition changes too, which is freaking awesome. So
Mm, mm.
yes, that's amazing. I can't believe you're in those jeans and like everything looks different. That's
Oh, it feels so
fantastic.
good. Feels so,
Yes,
so
yes,
good.
yes. I love that. Okay, before I just realized the time. My gosh. So do you have any final comments, questions, concerns, or anything you want to bring up before we jump off?
No, I mean um I guess for the other women, I've been saying this a lot to my patients also.
Okay.
Tomorrow is another day. I
Yeah.
feel like I've reached this stage in my life where I'm like, tomorrow is another day.
Yeah.
And it's so totally true because we forget, like, people, I mean, some people are obsessive, some people are more like go with the flow kind of I'm not. I don't know if you could tell. I'm the very obsessive, freaking out about chickpea weight kind
Yeah.
of person.
Yes. What
Right?
was this label of chickpeas?
Oh my
Like
God. I'm
week
just like,
two.
what the fuck is with the chickpeas in Canada?
The weird
Because
label.
everything is by volume, and you're like, oh man, this sucks.
Yep.
Anyways, but at the end of the day, like, you'll fuck up, but tomorrow is another day.
You know what's so fun? Like that was not your perspective a few months ago.
No, because I was so like ingrained in like focusing and fixing my issue. Like
Yeah.
even yesterday, like I was again ice cream. It's everything is by volume here, and I went into like this very dark tunnel of figuring out weight versus volume ratio, and then I'm like, what the fuck? It's ice cream. Okay, if I go over, I go over. It's not the end of the world,
Have a scoop, estimate roughly. There you go. See you later. Like
right?
that's what I would do. All right, it's close enough.
Tomorrow is another day.
Yeah, 100%. Like today does not dictate tomorrow. And I think that's a big part of letting go of that all or nothing mindset as well and being like, all right, I was like, it's close enough, good enough today. Yes, I'll do better tomorrow. Or and if I don't, I'll do my best. So at least like, like do your best and not feel like, okay, I messed up a little bit today. So tomorrow I'm intentionally messing it all up because whatever. But it's not the case. Like you're all going to mess up. Like you said, you've messed up. I mess up. Still now, like 15 years later, I mess up. And it's about how you then proceed forward and keep moving forward. And I think, honestly, I think that's one of the biggest hacks to long term results that many
Mm,
of you especially, Valerie, but a lot of the other women in the program, when they first come to me, you're doing that stop, start, kind of mindset, all or nothing. It's like it's got to be perfect or it's like not working on then YOLO. Like all of you have been through that. I've been through that too. But when you start to realize, and it's not until you like put it all into practice, you start to realize, hey, I did kind of mess up today. You messed up according to what you were planning to do. Like, let's be real. You didn't actually mess anything up. You just messed up according to what you expected yourself to do. You just did it differently. So it's like, well, is that really gonna ruin everything if I just kind of keep going tomorrow? No, like
Yeah,
no, like look at the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Like, is one day really like no.
right.
So it's like perspective. It's all about perspective and shifting that, which I think you've done an amazing job in doing. And I'm excited to
Thank you.
see you continue to do that, which is fantastic. But I'm gonna run because it's like we're
No
way
worries.
over.
Enjoy your kids.
Yeah, but no, thank you for jumping on. I love that this turned into more of like a open chat and open forum, which was fantastic. Love the progress you've made. So excited to see you
Thank you. Thank you.
continue with that. And that's it from me. Anyone else rewatching this? Any questions or any comments about this conversation? Drop them in Telegram, and otherwise we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, wasn't quite the episode I had planned, but if you like these episodes where they're a bit more raw and behind the scenes of kind of what we do and how I work with my clients, just let me know because I'd love to be able to share more authentic content with you guys. So let me know if you enjoyed that, and we might do some more in the future if that is the case. Otherwise, I shall catch you on the next one.